Let me wait for some people to come in. Let me get myself situated. This has been such a crazy week. I got my Star Wars shirt on. Yoda. Empire Strikes Back. Let's see. I wanted to jump on here early because my daughters is taking me out for Mother's Day. I'm going to see, I need to go see some comedy. So that's what we're doing tonight. But come on in, come on in, come on in. Like, share, and subscribe. Okay. I'm still figuring out how to navigate on YouTube from my phone because I'm new to this. Come on in, tell somebody. Tam Behind the Mic is live. I want to talk about Diddy and Cassie and the other witnesses, but the Diddy trial. Because I am the original hip hop stands with survivors, with Leila Wills. I got to distinguish that. I haven't spoken to Leila in a minute because she's so busy up in Chicago, whether or not she still has that, probably have that ongoing case as far as our trademark is concerned. And for me as a survivor myself, it has kicked up a lot of feelings. I have complex trauma, and I've been trying to seek justice for my daughter, myself, and I've been thinking in terms of, the legislation, because I filed a claim, and my claim is true. Okay. I wonder, can I move this over? All right. Let me see if I can find a better picture, because I want to talk about Hakeem Jeffies. Well, I was watching Dana channel with the judge, Joe Brown, and come to find out Hakeem Jeffies, who's a Democrat and the minority leader in Congress, has been affiliated with Diddy on one of his parties. Now, how am I going to go to him in regards to changing some statutes that my case was tossed out, and it's a true case, and it impacted myself, my whole entire family, and he down with the, freaky deaky, reeky, cheeky, allegedly stuff. And that is why that a lot of victims like myself, from a child and even an early adult, we can't get any real justice, right? And everybody is talking about Cassie. I must toot my horn and ring my bell. Where? I think I got a bell here. No, I got a gravel. I got a gravel here. Oh. I got my little antics here. Let me toot my little gong here. Sound vibration. I'm sending positive energy to all the victims that has survived this fiasco of this Diddy and so many like him that has tainted what came to be hip hop. Okay, put that back. Yeah, I'm hoping that these scales of justice will balance out and prevail. You see? Really. And this sword will be taking to arm so many like Cassie, like myself. And in comparison, I think that shit, yeah, I have a case, but at least it wasn't that extreme because had I not been the tyrant and the rebel, it could have been a lot worse off. But I have experienced some lifelong damage. I certainly have. So my thing is, who can I turn to if Hakeem Jeffies is in here, mixed up in the mix? And he's a good-looking man. The television does not do him justice because I happened to run into him a few weeks ago at the Nikki Lucas, who's in my district, and Hakeem Jeffies, right, who's the minority leader, at the Easter Bonnet Luncheon. Now, I never attended one of those events, but the purpose of my attendance was to get up close and personal because there's a lot of laws that need to be changed. Because when they implemented Hochul Sound in the Adult Survivors Act, she didn't allow for different scenarios. And it seems as though the judges are not willing to change the proceedings. And in my case, I filed pro se. But even with a legal background like myself as a paralegal, when you start having to unload that post-traumatic stress of all that you've been through, where that people that are supposed to protect young children and agencies that are supposed to protect young children and even adults, the system is rigged and it definitely fails. I'm with Hassan Campbell. Yes, the game is definitely rigged. I don't know, what his role was. They said he was in some type of complex, shrieky deaky role. Hakeem Jeffies. If anybody's coming in, I'm talking about Hakeem Jeffies. And the breaking. Here we go. All right now. This is breaking news. Like, share, and subscribe. I am Tam Behind the Mic. I don't have no makeup on. I am a hip-hop survivor. Even before hip-hop and after. Yes, I am. I am definitely a victim. However, but I come to you today because, a lot is going on with the Diddy trial. And I'm sure for people like myself that's a survivor of SA assaults and have been manipulated and have been groomed and preyed upon and reeled upon and indirectly have been used to solicit underage teenage friends like myself, and just a lot of shystiness that goes on in the business. I started in 1976. You can look on my description. But however, I want to talk about Judge Joe Brown and Dana podcast broke the news that a congressman who was the minority speaker, the Democratic congressman, the minority speaker, right under Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffies, has been alleged to have attended and participated and requested certain things in Diddy's FO parties. Now, they're saying that according to the reports, his office is denying it, of course, because they have to do crisis intervention. You know what I mean? Because I'm not really surprised because you know that Diddy had high profile people attending these parties. And it just so happens that I have a situation within my life, within my daughter, losing my daughter and being a survivor myself and filing a claim, and it was dismissed because me having to file it pro se. When I initially filed, I should have been given the opportunity to amend the the petition, the claim, but it was filed in the wrong venue, and it was a lot of clerical errors, and it just became so disdained because I lost one of my daughters, and now I'm raising my grandchildren. So my life has been turned upside down, and so anyway, I attended. I know that certain laws have to be changed because they're allowing victims to file certain claims, but they haven't changed a lot of the laws, which they're still antiquated. And they go hundreds of years, which is really not applicable for this day and age. And including the Mann Act, where I think that's one of the charges against Diddy. But however, I wanted to make my business to interact directly to Hakeem Jeffies because ever since the Democrats lost the election to President Trump, now all of a sudden they want to be hands on with the constituents. Well, I left the Democratic Party a while ago because there was too much going on, and with their interaction with the hip hop community and just all of this stuff that's going on and that's being revealed. This just, I need to say that just this didn't start with Diddy. It's been going on for a long time, to the extent I don't know, but I know I've witnessed some things and I've gone through some things too. And you're not quite the same. And with this trial going on, I'm sure people that have PTSD or complex trauma like myself is going through it. Because you see, I got dark circles under my eyes because I keep reliving and reliving, and I'm trying to get justice for myself, for other children, and I was really trying to set a precedence. And I didn't get an attorney fast enough, but they said Hakeem Jeffies liked all of this role play, and he find the picture there. This is me in the background. I wanted to meet him in person because I wanted him to see me. So when I email him with my situations, that I would be able to get some assistance. But I'm not surprised because there's been like two or three, four, maybe five major things that occurred. And as a constituent in his district, I have not got any help. So I was thinking perhaps if I personally meet him, I could get some kind of help within the community. We have a football field where the young kids are playing, it's dilapidated, and there's no funding, and they gave all of this money to these migrants. Well, these illegals that jumped the border, refugees, whatever the hell they want to call them. Now, I didn't get a chance to take a picture, but I saw him and he liked my hat. I came in fourth place, the Easter bonnet. Like, this is sick. But again, like I said, I'm not too surprised because everybody involved is one way or the other. And I'm just wondering if it's high up the totem pole for Hakeem Jeffies. This is a big old scandal. Once again, for the Democratic Party, and it's going to give President Trump even more ammunition. I was thinking that perhaps with the high connection that's going on in with Diddy, and how he's connected with the politicians, even if they convict him, that somehow, some way, somebody was going to maneuver. I really thought it might have been Eric Adams, and they was going to get some kind of pardon for Diddy. But I don't know. I know that the plot is thickens. And I want to say, for all of those bloggers out there that are out there front and center covering the trial and giving us pertinent information, because I know how to decipher Tisha Tells. Well, she's doing her damn thing, And Ticket TV, got to shout him out too. And Dana and the judge over there. Judge Joe Brown is a mess. He was keying laughing. I'm going to put probably the link in my chat because I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh. Now, he has a wife and children. But it don't surprise me because a lot of people is on the DL. Even with this hip-hop, like, share, and subscribe. If you come across here, please like, share, and subscribe because I'm really trying to build this channel, trying to get my message out there. And if I can receive some donations, I need to do it too because I lost my daughter, and my daughter seen some things when I was recording tracks in the studio for some DJs, and the images is still in my brain, right? And I've always been a tough kid because I had to be. And, what it is that it's like pimp and hoe kind of mentality. And the reason why I say because they get into the minds and, it's very complex because they talk about the Stockholm Syndrome because these guys messed up my first demo for Russell Simmons, and maybe it was a blessing that it didn't go through, but somebody stole my song and repurposed it. They took some of the hooks and the choruses, and it was the first actual song that I wrote. I used to write different, and we used to MC off the dome when I was a young kid and then teenager, and then it seemed like the older cats was playing on the younger girls. That's what was going on. And then the entitlement. I've heard so many stories that I'm like, oh my God. And you know what? It all makes sense. And unfortunately, a lot of females early on, you don't hear them saying nothing. You don't. You know why? I'm going to tell you why. Because some of them even got pregnant and the guys that were older had to marry them, or, it was like a badge of honor that they set this energy. I think it's a spiritual energy that they put out there. And, one girl I know from the Mercedes Ladies group, the DJ, and they was over these other cats' house. And I remember inquiring, how old is she? It's a mess. 16. They 20-something years old. And one of the girls that I was staying with, she was a friend of me. I didn't know it at the time. She had something going on with one particular. And Miss Honey made sure she came out that damn room sashaying. I was laughing. And then she went on back. I don't know what they was doing, but I know the guy said, because they used to run their mouth just like freaking girls. So, a lot of people were flipping the script. And I'm not concerned about that, really. But be a man about it and say who you are. Own up who you are, And my thing is with Hakeem Jeffies and the rest of them, they knew all of this was going on. They had to, because they allegedly have been participating. Now, I'm waiting to see who else. So how am I, as a constituent and a survivor, how am I going to get and request certain bills, safety nets for me as a survivor, for my family? This is ridiculous because everybody's compromised. And what makes it even worse is the color of their skin, right? All kin folks are not skin folks. All skin folks are not kin folks. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, damn. And what's so ironic is that I'm a survivor, and it seems like I stand out. I'm short in stature, and you know when I used to drop the science and my cadence, I had a dope cadence. Now I have to try to practice and formulate and what have you. But my hat, I was able to shake Hakeem Jeffies' hands, and Nikki Lucas introduced him as being the potential next president, having presidential um, lifestyle and the opportunity. Hakeem Jeffies, if you coming in, I'm talking about Minority Speaker Hakeem Jeffies. According to Dana and Judge Joe's Brown, he has been connected with the Diddy parties, allegedly. And they go in and they describe what's going on. And I'm like, I'm done. Like I told him when I spoke to him and shook his hand some weeks ago, I'm going to email you because my community needs some things. My household needs some things. You know, my child passed away and with city agencies, and because all of them are interconnected, you can't get no accountability. You can't get no help. And as you see, I'm a verbalizer. I've had to fight all my life. I've had to survive. I left home at the tender age of 13. I started emceeing 10 and a half. I was in the park 11. Got documentation on that. Because I danced to the music and danced to the beat of a different drum, they're keeping me out the history. Because my accusers who've had a long history, the more that I inquire, the more that I find out about these guys. And because my federal case was dismissed, but I'm glad it's public record and it's going to stay public record. I didn't lie. Not at all. Sorry about that. That was one of my partners when I was with the group Silk and Lace, and I was Lace, brought in to take somebody else's space and spot. And we had a show, practiced for months, traveled, had my daughter, you know, and having to go to the studio. And this particular incident where I found a girl up in there happened before, you know. I didn't even realize I was being groomed again, you know, and I thought people change. And that's why, you know, I sympathize because, you know, initially they appeared to be so nice and so talented. And you talking about one of the hottest groups, and you trying to cross over commercially, and they steady reeling you in, and then they're telling you, oh, bring a friend. And like, it's crazy, you know, or they make up things. Oh, I'm looking for assistant. I'll pay you this and that and the other. And then they trying to jerk you all along. And this has been an ongoing pattern. Then you uproot from where you living at because they haven't tried nothing for 7 months, and you trying to move to a better situation, and you got a young child, only that they're expecting something in return. They're not doing it out the kindness of their heart. And at the same time, they're putting you in an even worse situation. This predatory behavior has been going on too long, and it should not be a prerequisite to lure someone with getting some kind of record deal or some kind of position even at a job, because this is not only music. Hold on one second. Sorry about that, y'all. That was my partner Silk. And I'm still trying to figure out how to operate this YouTube, my live, because I'm trying to get to the chat. And guess, well, I gotta figure it out, because sometimes the live comes up, the chat comes up, sometimes it doesn't. So I don't know. I still gotta figure out how this works. And I gotta have my granddaughter, because these teenagers know everything about this technology. I'm a little better than I was before, because when I lost my daughter, things really changed. But once I escaped that hellhole in Astoria, I was a little better. But I went back. And, I have to hug myself on a regular basis, because I was lured into an addiction to cover up my pain. And that was because the disappointment, once again, messing around with these guys, because I had made a commitment, in the laurel of them, well, him, one of them, because one is the music man and the other one supposedly is the business, but they both could spin. And something came to mind just a little while ago. Like, this thing has been going on in plain sight. Because in the parks, and when I was a little older, and the girl, the frenemy, was with me, which was very promiscuous. I didn't know a lot of girls that was promiscuous wanted to cling on to me because I'm the MC, and they had hidden agendas, and they fast in the ass, and quite a few of them, I can say at least by two. One had been abused as a kid. The second one was an abusee and had a long history of the incest thing going on, deeply embedded in the family. And I thought this was the coolest house to stay at, and the cool person to stay with. And baby, the battle scars that I walk with, even though I'm grateful for the God up above, but this Diddy and this Cassie has got me up at night. I'm reliving a lot of the stuff that I went through. And some may say, well, count your blessings that you wasn't, made to engage in all of this menage a trois and stuff like this, and how our community dogs victims. Because even if she was starting to make all these arrangements, some people are so passive to the extent that they'll do whatever. And what happens is that they groom you. They make everything all nice. It's like one of the dealers. People were saying, oh, you went to Prince party. I don't give a damn. You understand? Because I was always safe around them. And they didn't give me no substances. Not saying that was okay what they did to the community, but he owned up and he did his time. Okay? And he admitted. However, these cats, they ain't admitting and ain't copping or nothing. Diddy done paid $10 million for these lawyers, and he writing damn notes and telling them what to do. They said it's like a circus in there. And then here, this woman is 8 months pregnant. She'll forever be in therapy because I'm still in therapy. And us survivors are never okay. We're not. We take it day by day. I hug myself because I was groomed and reeled in. They don't just start this stuff abruptly. And one guy was trying to get me to do what they was doing to these other girls that were out of the country. I wish I could have found them. And that was before us silk and lace thing, and I never told my partner, you know. I never told because we were like strictly business. We didn't really we interacted, we had the same camaraderie, and we definitely had a great cadence that when if we was to had redone those tracks, I believe I would have been much better than the first lace because our show that we did, and after continuously practicing, because I was going up to the Bronx and I had to pull her down to where I was at, and we really started focusing and we was gelling, and we was baddies too. you know I remember when we went shopping, we did not get paid for that show. We did not get paid for any babysitting, traveling, or nothing. And I think it was alleged that those advances, because I know one of them got married, had this big old wedding, and also bought property. It's a dirty game. So can you imagine me after one of them kicked my door in because he was trying to jerk me out some damn money? I don't play with my damn money. You understand? I got a child to support. Them niggas didn't know what the hell I've been through. I need my damn money. And I'm turning into the same kid that was in the kids' shelter and the group homes that had to fight. And even before that, I'm doing something that other females are not doing, and I'm getting a lot of attention. So at the age of 11, I'm fighting. I got kicked out and had to go to the Deuce 192. And that's where I met D from DMC, Kane, and Jam Master Jay. But when I played with him, he was called Majestic. And D even admitted at one of the 50th summits that, because I said to him, I think I'm the only female that DJ'd for. And he admitted it. And somebody from the archives wanted me to contact them. But I have to trademark, copyright my stuff because I don't trust nobody. I don't. And I'm sure that Cassie and whoever else has been played by Diddy, they will never be the same. Never be the same. Even with my job. This guy, politically connected, nepotism, cronyism, he singled me out because they look at people and they think they got them pegged for being vulnerable. Because I don't have that look like I'm thug at and thugged out and all of that stuff. Because I'm a lady. If I need to be bougetto, sometimes I am. But not on a norm. They want you doing this extra stuff and they don't want to pay you. The color of our skin makes it already difficult. So we think that our politicians, the music executives, the producers, the teachers, even in the school, this energy that's being flowed out to our communities is simply ridiculous. And it's our people. It makes me think about the days of slavery, how our kings, for greed, sold us out. And they usually say history repeats itself. And I'm wondering if that's the case. That's what's going on. Because you can't find no accountability for nothing. They want to give hundreds and thousands of people that came across this border illegally And now they're missing so many kids. Like, they still haven't found over, I think it's over 100,000 kids that came across illegally the border. With all of this stuff going on, it's like the Oliver North situation, the Iran contraband, when they had the war on drugs, but the military, they were still putting drugs in our community, which escalated the crack epidemic and destroyed a lot of us. Same thing, because the reason why I'm wondering if these Democrats, they going hard because all this stuff behind the scenes is going on, and it's big money. Because remember, we're a capitalist country. Capitalism. And my thing is, here the citizens, and here the lineage line that was sharecroppers, and their lineage line was slaves, we're not receiving any benefits. Like, Eric Adams was giving these folks all of these hundreds of dollars, food stamps, and money. Yeah, I lose my job, Aggie Phelps, so that these homeless people could get off the street. And they're telling me, why did you go back to work? I wasn't born, I don't have a gold or silver spoon. I was taught that if you could look up, you could get up. But unfortunately, because I danced to the beat of a different drum, that same cat that I had grieved and my damn papers went missing, my grievance papers for him, he answered step 1, but he had contacts to one of the directors because his sister worked in personnel, and it was alleged that he was stealing papers, and people are wondering. That's what happened to me. So the same thing with my notice of claim for my daughter, for my godson, and all of that. The first set disappeared, and then the second one disappeared. That's how deep this is. So this is some very muddy, muddy waters. So it might be a blessing. It might be a curse. Who knows? Because Donald J. Trump is in office. And no, I didn't vote for him. And I didn't vote for Kamala either. Because they're not for us. And that's sad. That's sad. That's sad. And I can't believe this. Yes, I can. Any and everything is possible. Now, I want to see what the crisis management is going to do now with the minority speaker. What does this mean? Who else? And they keep saying, this only domestic violence. No, you don't understand. The prosecution is laying the foundation for the RICO. And, with all the evidence, just like with Eric Adams, there was evidence there. And the crazy part is that one of my cousins was real close with him growing up. But you could bet your bottom dollar. I'm just speculating. It's not a fact. And I could talk about a public figure. You could bet your bottom dollar that there had to be some kind of deal that Eric had for Trump to have him cleared. Because he's not going to do that out the kindness of his heart. There's no way in heck. Like he always say, Trump said, it's the art of the deal. He going to be laughing about that. He going to say, yes. Yes. Because this is the federal level. So they have access to all those files and everything and all the evidence. But the prosecution of the mentality that he is a leader. You get what I'm saying? He has the demeanor. He has the ruthlessness. He has the volatile. And another thing I want to get to is one of the first female MCs that I know that I was supposed to take her place too, named Tracy Hines. May she rest in peace. She passed away last year. And she went through the rigmarole with those guys too. I'll have that in another discussion. But Tracy was dope. She had a great cadence and everything. But Tracy used to work at Bad Boy with Diddy. And even on her page, I screenshot it. And like I said, once I acquire some more audience, and I probably might have to do a members only. But she considered him a great boss. Her son had became a comedian and all this stuff. And I don't know if she wrote any songs for anybody or what, but I know after she left that same damn guys, she never wanted to rap again. She never wanted to MC. And you'll see pictures of her later on, but certain things she just wouldn't do because she was betrayed and alleged to have had a relationship with one of the guys, and then she brought her friends that were twins, and it was just a mess. But I'll always think of Tracy. Her MC name is Nasty T. What she may have seen or let pass by or whatever, because she said that Diddy was a great boss. But then later on, she went on to be a mentor for at-risk youth. And just so happens, she was a mentor to one of my daughter's sisters. So, let's just wait and see whoever politicians and whatever, and whoever's associated with it. And I wonder about our New York City mayor. Because remember, he gave him the key to the city, Diddy. I didn't understand why Nas didn't get the key to the city. Or Jay-Z. But I don't think any of them got clean hands to get up there. But my thing is, the extremes that they go to, the extremities, is mind-boggling. And no one thinks about how victims suppress that kind of trauma, especially me. Even as being a child, my plight is to clear that ancestral line, because my mother couldn't take care of no kids because of what was done to her in the South. We living in some troubled waters. So let's just hope and pray that the scales of justice here will balance. But I know one damn thing. I'd rather be here than I keep running and trying to see the developments. My anxiety is up to kazoo. I got to make sure I take my medication and then find things to do. And again, I'm not sleeping at night. I'm not. And people might say, oh, what you went through. No, hell no. What my child had to experience and what we had to endure to get the hell out of there. And then they ran around telling rumors I was on crack. I'm not ashamed of what I was doing. But it's not what they thinking. They never see me do no damn crack. And the place I was staying at, they knew that there was drugs that had been, substances that had been sold and all this kind of mess. And in fact, in 1980, that was the same spot we went to when I was carrying a blinky that I knew I was carrying it because I opened the bag up. They told me not to open the bag up. I was always backwards because I was born backwards. Got my little sage here. I was born backwards. I was born Sicilian beach. So, breach. So when somebody tell me not to do something, my mother used to say, somebody would tell you, don't step in the water. You step in the water. If she would tell me step in the water, I wouldn't step in the water. I would go around it. So I knew I wound up living in that same building. And whew, I guess when he came out, he wasn't getting the money he was used to and some old craziness. And he was all right until he started doing that C, the crack. Whew. And I wasn't down. I had my little apartment upstairs. It became really unhinged. It will be a great series. So anyway, let me get off of this because now I'm rattling. And let's see what goes on and how they're going to spin this story with Minority Speaker Hakeem Jeffies with his fine behind. Who do I run to when I need help? Who do I run to? I don't know who the hell to run to no more. And they supposed to be working for the constituents. Outlandish. I don't know. So peace, blessings, and light, everyone. This definitely is a journey to the light for the light workers. Have a good one.